you for providing for our needs today. We want to thank you for bringing us here in good health. We ask that you give us guidance so that we treat each one with respect, and that we remember that we're all part of this community and we're working together to do the best, make good decisions, and be happy with one another's performance. Lord, we give you thanks and prayer. In your son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Under the Texas flag,
I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Oh, boy. Got a crowd. Okay, we're going to receive comments from the public. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people. So we have a record-setting crowd. And I'll begin with Alan.
Do you like our comments at this time or in the agenda item?
There is an agenda item. I don't know what everybody's here to talk about, but if they're related to item, I believe most are related to item 6.
Okay, so who's here to talk about the French Oak neighborhood? That's how I know it. 1, 2, 3. I know Alan. Sir, what's your name?
Joe Castellano.
Joe? Okay, I see that there. And then
Diane Castellano.
say that again. Okay, Diane. Okay, I see those two. So Courtney Williams, are you here? Would you like to speak? Oh, with the 3 of you. Okay, great. And then Charles Shirley.
Hello, everybody. I'm Charles Shirley. I currently serve on the Montgomery County Hospital Board. And the reason I'm here is to ask for your vote on the appraisal district election. Currently, the appraisal board is, I believe, overvaluating our property in the county. Now, one reason I believe this is true, one data point that leads to this, is the fact that traditionally the appraisal boards had about 1 to 2% successful challenges to their appraisals. Recently, in the last 3 years, it's jumped up to about 10%, which tells me that the appraisal board is management is overvaluing our property. There's lots of reasons why that's not necessarily a good thing. The folks that challenge and win, that's a good thing, and I'm happy for them. But what does lead to is, for example, the hospital board ends up with a shortage of tax collection, which can be a problem. For example, this year we're supposed to collect about 50 million in taxes, but because of these overvaluations and these successful challenges, we'll probably only collect about 48 to 49 million. That indicates that a lot of these properties are overvalued and should be brought back into line with the actual market conditions. Houses during COVID just went through the roof. But after COVID, there's been a pullback, but there has not been a pullback at the appraisal level. So anyway, what I would like to do is serve on the board and provide more oversight, more guidance to the current management so that we can get those appraisal values in line. Another problem that I see at the appraisal board is that, for example, the elections that I'm here about today should have happened a year ago. They didn't happen a year ago, and therefore 5 of the individuals on the board, there's 9 people on the board when you count the 3 that were elected and Tammy McCray, the tax collector. There's also 5 that's appointed through this process. This process should have happened a year ago, but it didn't happen, which leads me to believe that once again, there is management issues inside of the appraisal district. So I would like to be on the board to make sure that we can provide guidance and oversight and bring these various issues in line. Anyway, I asked for your vote, and I only know I got 3 minutes. If you got any questions, let me know.
Are we allowed to ask questions?
Of course.
So are you saying that the amount of protests are too high, the successful protests are too high, or do you think that the value of the,
I think the values they have on the books for the county are too high. That's why the number of successful challenges are high. If those amounts that are on the books for the county were brought in line with market conditions, the number of successful challenges would go back down to its traditional level of 1 to 2%. Right now, it's at 10%.
In other words, 90% of the valuations are correct. 10% are not.
That's correct. And
That's not a
that may
concerning
not be
issue.
exactly correct, because keep in mind, there's a lot of people who don't challenge even though they should be challenging.
I understand that.
Okay, so that could be even higher. It could be 12% that are, could be successfully
But
challenged.
the variance is between $1 and $2 million a year.
For the hospital district, but for the county, it's way more than that.
Okay.
what's the percentage of people who do contest their valuations?
Um,
Do you know?
yeah, it's about 15%.
And 1% of those are successful.
Usually, yeah.
Okay.
Right now, it's about 10.
I think the bigger issue that you kind of touched upon is the management by the appraisal district, because they missed an election. We had no notification at all throughout the county.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you should spend your time. It's a much more powerful statement than saying 1 out of 10
Yeah,
is problematic. I don't think it's problematic. In fact, that's our constitutional right. But
no, I,
the management of the appraisal board, I believe, and its history of what's gone on with the terminations of several of the executives there, I think clearly states that that's where the problem is.
Yeah.
That's what we as residents should be looking at.
absolutely. I see your point, and management needs to be reviewed and needs to be looked at from top to bottom, so. Anyway,
Great.
all right, well, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Charles.
They were another person, the gentleman sitting next to Charles. Did you want to speak? Are you here for, he's the,
He's with the,
oh, he's with the,
the league.
okay, okay.
The league.
Known as Blake.
It's,
The
it's,
league.
yeah,
We know him as
it's
the
the-
league.
it's the coat. So we've done that, so adjustments, consider an act on adjustments to the relief of specific charges imposed by the district. Don't have anything, okay? Next is, consider an act on request for adjustments to account 064861-01. You want to begin?
Yeah, I think last month we went through kind of our findings, what we had found.
Yeah.
The board chose to table it or defer it till today for Wendy to be here. Yes, going through some stuff last time. So I guess, David, I don't know how much you want to go back through things, or you tell me how much.
Wendy, you watched the tape?
Yes.
Okay, so Wendy heard the tape, and so why don't we just talk about the charges? And then we'll allow discussion from the board.
Sure. So the amount of
I have it here, you
I
don't.
have it there. I've got it. Okay, just buried in.
I had the same
So the-
comment an
yeah.
hour ago.
So the bill that came about in relation to the leak in the water was $21,236.95. After going through the policy and going through the calculations, that would result in a potential refund of $12,031.28. And that would include the one-time surface water fee. As a result, as a reminder, they are on Water Smart now, weren't at the time, but so I think the refund or adjustment that would be up pending would be $12,031.28 off of the $21,236.95.
So they paid 9,000 and change.
The delta.
Got it.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, so any comment from the board before we?
How have the tenants been handling this potential upcharge?
We haven't spoke to the tenants about this. We want firstly to resolve it and then, we'll address it, our tenants. So they don't know about it at this time.
Okay, so they just didn't pay their water bill that month?
Sorry?
They didn't pay a water bill that month?
No, it was,
Deferred.
deferred, and we have two accounts, the domestic and this one is for irrigation. So this one was deferred. We have been paying our current bills, but this one is deferred, yeah.
Comment? So I guess the next step is to have a motion.
Or discuss it and see if we want.
Oh, I thought that's what we're doing now. Are we going to discuss it now?
Yeah,
Or,
I think.
okay, I'm open
Go
for
ahead,
discussion.
Can we spread, if we, whatever payment it is, can we spread that out over a certain number of months?
You make a payment plan if they choose. We've offered that in the past for others. That's,
Have you tried to negotiate anything with
Not yet.
any negotiations? All right,
no, it's purely board discretion. I'm required to bring it to you. My authorization allows up to $1,000. So because this was a bigger one, that's why it came to the board. Normally I could approve these under $1,000 and under.
Where would you say the fault for this situation lies?
I think it's strong to say there's a fault. I think that the line appears to have broken. They did fix it. Once they found out about it, it appears that, from what we saw when we went out there, is that the water, after it broke, was going into this vault that's sitting next to it, and no one ever saw it.
So how would you assign culpability for this issue?
It's tied to the property.
It's an act of God. I mean, how did something just break? How did it break? How did the pipe?
Who knows? Yeah, I mean, shifting ground, who knows? That's
Shifting
something
ground.
we could not.
But
Like,
I'm trying to assess that there was no way they're going to predict this.
Well, there was with Water Smart.
Oh, okay. So we're penalizing them for not using water smart. Is that the bottom line?
Well,
Just asking.
I'm just saying, I'll make my comment. They're a professional property management group. And so because they're professional and there was no, what I call, hurricane or tornado that would
No act of
damage
God,
equipment.
right?
There's no extreme weather event that caused this. It's just, it's normal maintenance. It's more wear and tear. And so since it's a professional group, they knew Water Smart. They should have known it was in existence. They do property management. And to me, it's their responsibility to maintain the,
Stop up the doors.
Yes, we didn't have our properties in Water Smart. Personally, I didn't know about the program. It's very useful now. And the properties that we do manage, that it's 9950 Woodlands Parkway, 4840 West Panther Creek, 4810 West Panther Creek, and the school inspector and Hope, they are all now in Water Smart, and we don't only have the email notification, we have active notifications in the emergency cell phone. So if we knew about this program in the past, we should, we clearly have used it. Yeah.
this is the building. They lease the space. Is that correct? They're not owners of the building.
Well, we work for the owner.
No, I guess what I'm saying is you have a bunch of businesses in there, in that building. And they lease the space from the owner.
Tenants, yeah.
For tenants,
Tenants,
yes,
they're tenants, they're not owners.
yes. Yeah, we do have 5 tenants at this time.
Okay, Dave, give us some direction. What do you want to do?
I mean.
I'll make a motion that we make account number 064861-01 with all the, what do you call them?
Adjustment?
Adjustments that we've made, and we leave the customer with the remaining balance.
So what does that mean? So
That means.
we're talking about giving him 12,000, so you're saying giving him zero.
$9,000 bill. Is that what it is?
Or we could accept that since they didn't know it, they are professional managers and they should have known it. They should have done the due diligence. We could split it evenly between 46 and the owners of the property, which would leave them a balance of 6,000 and change, which is about $500 a month. Let them have it on an entire year to pay that all. $500 based on how much they pay every month is not much of a difference. Just throwing it out for discussion. It's just discussion.
I have a hard time with the idea of having the customers of Mud 46 pick up the tab for this in any amount.
At this point,
What were your profit margins last year?
Oh, you can't.
I can't ask that.
I would.
All right.
I would go down that path.
that's
All right.
dietary information.
Well,
Oh.
I have a hard time because there's a lot of small families who have felt the economic impacts of inflation and they have had to cut back so much. There are families that have not gone on vacation. There are families that have to put packages back at the grocery store. It's hard on people and promises that we would try to keep their water bills low. And that also includes, I understand that you did as much as you could, but at the end of the day, it's, you are a professional company and you want to get the best deal for the tenants that you manage. And that also includes looking at every single option to make sure we're taking care of your property. And that includes signing up for WaterSmart, because how long have you owned the property? How long have you been managing the property?
I don't have that information because I'm kind of new for the, working for the company. I can take a look. I have 2 years working for the company. And ever since I've been with Texaco, managed that property. I don't know how far,
How long
How
have we
long-
had that, how long have they had that option to sign up for WaterSmart?
Several years.
Pre.
Since I've been on the board, 30
Yeah.
years. I think that's, let me see what we got here.
6 residents.
I'm kind of like Tom a little bit. I don't see how the mud was at fault. Eric did an
That's why.
outstanding job of making sure that we exhausted, really, making sure the equipment wasn't the cause. I'm convinced that he,
I
went
think
through the
WWA did their job.
Did their job.
100%.
100%. And so now we can say, should the tenants, should Mud 46 residents pay for this? There's no tornado, no hurricane like some of the others to this point, and I'm less inclined to, for the residents to pick this cost up. And so I kind of believe with Tom's viewpoint.
But we don't know what the cost would be, is that correct?
Yeah. Why don't we just put it to a vote? We've got 3 positions.
And we have 2 or 3.
I like yours. So.
Okay, so we have 1 at half, and Tom, you at 0.
I just threw a number out. It could be 3/4. I mean, I just wanted to start a dialogue going.
Right.
Get to a conclusion.
So let's circle, yeah, because I was a little confused on the different amounts. So let me go back. Bill, 21,000 and change. The calculation would create an adjustment of about 12,000 and
Correct.
change,
Right.
which would leave a remainder of about 9 and change, whatever that.
Yeah.
number is.
And they're going to pay the 9 and change no matter what.
No matter what.
That's the board's discretion.
So Fred, you were suggesting that there's 12,031, 6.
Yeah.
6,015.
Again, it was just a stake in the ground to start a dialogue.
We have that option, and Tom, you would say
My
0.
option was 9,000, whatever the 9,000 figure.
Oh, so you're saying we should pay it all? I'm confused.
No, I'm saying,
He's saying that
I'm saying after all the,
owner should pay it all.
yes.
But the owner should pay that. We should not give.
That's
So
Tom's
we
position.
have an amount recommended by
21,000
Aaron's
and change.
calculation. No, it's 12,031.
Oh, right.
That's what
Adjusted down, delta would be 9.
Correct.
The 9.
No, I guess I'm confused. So what's the payment? I didn't have your calculation form. What's the payment of your calculation form? How much did, your normal form?
Yeah, the adjustment going through the form would allow for an adjustment of 12,031.
Right, so
So they pay 9,000 and change.
So they would, yeah, that's right.
they pay
If you
9.
Went with that, then they would pay the delta of 9 and change.
9 and change. So I guess the question I have, I'm still a little confused. So Fred is proposing that the forgiveness amount be 6,000, half of 12,031, 6,015 and change.
With
Right.
a payment.
That was the
That
dialogue.
was
It could just as easy be the entire amount spread over 12 months, which is then $1,000.
Of forgiveness.
No. for
No,
80
a
months.
payment.
Oh,
In other
okay,
words,
okay. So what you're saying, I like to deal with the hard number. So how much do you want to forgive? That's what we're talking about. How much do you want to forgive?
The choice is
The
nothing,
total would be
or-
12,031. So,
nothing or something less than that.
okay, so we have one, forgive nothing.
Correct.
Tom, is that what you were proposing?
Yes.
Yes, okay. And then we have a number above that, so.
I have one other question for Eric. Is there a payment plan that can go 24 months?
I don't think, I don't know that we.
Yeah, I mean, that's tough to implement as well. But, in terms of, do they retain ownership? Yeah.
You gotta remember, these are tenants and they could move out.
Well, but it's not the tenants, it's this company.
Well, we're taking from the company, but I assume a lease allows you to adjust the tenant's rent. Is that what you're saying?
The person here.
But we don't deal with the tenants, he does. So how he,
It's sort of relevant to the conversation.
that's exactly right.
Correct.
That's exactly right. So we have 0. Any other number? We want to vote on 0 and see whether we get 3 votes for 0.
What do you mean by 0? No.
0, basically we're saying is
They pay the full
they
21,000.
pay the full 12,000.
Not even-
No.
Discussions.
The discussion is that they paid 12,000.
Yeah, but they were paying the 9 already.
They'll pay 9 already. So
That's already-
the
they've already-
really, the forgiveness, we should talk about forgiveness.
Fine.
How much of the value that Eric recommended, which, through his procedure was 12,031. And we can take that from 0 to 12,031, or even go above it. So I guess I'm getting a little confused, but let's say the amount is, Tom, you want to say, basically they pay the bill. And if you get a time plan from Eric, which he seems is reasonable, he can do that, but we're not giving any forgiveness on the,
I do
Amount.
not want the residents of Mud 46 to have to pay out of their pocket for this incident.
right, so that means that the 1231 would be 0. Okay, that's what we're saying. The residents would not participate in this incident.
Right.
Okay, and
They
so
would be responsible for the 9.
they already are.
The
So
field
really they'd be responsible for the 21,236.
to 9.
Well, no, we're taking it
Yeah.
down to 0. See, the bill was, correct me if I'm wrong, the bill was 21,236. Eric ran it through his worksheet and the discount, the forgiveness was 12,031. Okay, and Tom is proposing that 12,031 goes to 0. So they're responsible for the 21,236 entirely. It's a bill, they have to pay it. Is that what, Tom, I think that's what Tom is saying.
You say-
The residents do not participate.
Saying that, Tom.
No, I didn't think I was saying that either.
Okay,
I was saying after all the adjustments that Eric put in, it brought the bill down so that nobody is being, in other words, we're not making a profit. Not that we make profit, but you, with your calculations and adjustments, it brought the liability down to 12,000. Is that correct?
Down to 9.
So the
The
liability,
liability by the owner of the property is 9,000 and change, leaving a balance from the original bill of approximately $12,000.
why don't we talk about forgiveness? How much money did we want to forgive?
Does the 9,000 include 100% of what the district has to pay to the river authority for both wholesale and GRP fees? Does
Yeah.
9,000 include all that?
It does, except for the one-time, waiving of the surface water fee. We have a one-time waive of that. That amount was, of the 12, that's actually the bigger number, 8,156. That's a one-time, the policy allows that one time, so that's in the 12.
So I'm gonna try this again.
So the remainder would be what the district would get to cover the expenses, correct? The retail.
So Tom, to your point, as
I'm
long
not-
as the district recoups what it has to pay out
Right,
to the
right.
providers of the water, then the residents aren't subsidizing the bill. And so it sounds like because the policy allows for a one-time adjustment, there is going to be some amount of residents subsidizing the bill as to the surface water fee, conversion fee.
So what would that's going by the policy. All right, so what is, if you go by the policy, what is the final bill?
Would be that
2,000 and change difference. If it's eight,
Oh,
So, hey, Eric, you gave me three numbers before. The forgiveness was, that came off your worksheet was 12,031. There's two elements of that. Okay, one is the SRA water provided, which is cash out of our pocket. Was 8,156. I'm leaving the nickels out. Okay, and then the cost of the overhead is $3,874. That's the cost of the overheads. That's the three numbers we're dealing with. So if we can give them the worksheet price, which was, you forgive all of it, we can do that, right? And then, or we can say, you know, the out-of-pocket expense, we have the SRA is 8,156. So that's really money out of everybody's pocket. And then, you know, I kind of call it variable cost. The cost of running this system is, the cost of that is 3,874. And I guess I'm asking is between 12,000, I make the assumption we don't want to forgive more money than Eric is recommending.
You can
You
count
know,
on
through the
that.
worksheet, you can count on that. Okay, so our value goes from 0 to 12,031. To
Right.
me, this, listening to what you're saying, there's three breakpoints. 0, we can forgive 3,874, which would be our overhead cost of running Mud 46, right? That'd be overhead cost. You could forgive 3,874 and say we'll slop it up. You could forgive 0, or you can include in there, right? You know, another 8,000 on top of that, which is be 8,156, which is SRA cost. So to me, it's, you know, you can choose whatever breakpoint. It's 0. You just want to give the forgiveness of our overhead cost. That's $3,874. If you want to give them the whole thing, you give them 12,000. So I
don't advocate giving them 12,000.
don't advocate giving them 12,000.
You can count on that too.
Okay, so
I threw a number out of 50% just to start the dialogue, and we've
Right.
had more dialogue than we need on the subject.
Right,
So
we
let's
have.
kind of go and vote.
Okay,
and determine-
so Tom, what number were you? I know what Fred's number is. It's 6,000.
No, that was a discussion.
I know, but
Yeah.
I know what Fred's discussion number was 6,000 and $15. $15. I'm just trying to get a vote and get a number so we can vote on. So Tom, what number are you thinking of? 0?
Make it a proposal, Tom, so we can
Make a
vote on it.
number. You have to choose a number.
I propose $12,031.28.
Second,
Okay? So you want to forgive $12,031.
no, that's not what he said.
Oh, what do you,
He's not forgiving
The
anything.
final bill is
their final-
$12,031.28.
so you're proposing that the forgiveness is 0.
That's what he said.
That's what you're saying. We make them fill the
After
whole
all the
bill.
adjustments. Yes, I don't like the term forgiveness.
Well, I understand, but we're gonna give them a discount. Use the
Yeah.
word discount,
We're
no
giving them-
discount.
We're giving them a discount of almost $10,000.
I don't see that by this discussion.
The original bill was $21,236.
I'm confused.
And they legitimately owe 9,000 and change.
They owe 21,000, right now they owe $21,236.
Right.
That's what they owe. Okay,
And we gave them a discount of over $12,000.
well, we haven't given them anything yet.
We have deferred the whole bill, and we're reviewing the 12,000 and change. The 9,000's a given, correct?
Oh, it is? Oh, I didn't realize that. Is
It's not a
that,
given?
is that a
Isn't
given?
that what the charge was?
No, we didn't.
Charge is 21,000 and change. The board's discretion is whatever you want to do.
Right, we can adjust that. I guess what I'm saying is that I'm confused by what you're saying, Tom. But,
Let me ask it this way. What do you want?
You
the bill
ask
to
it.
be? What the bill would be.
What, that's right. What do you want the bill to be?
And I'll figure out how to get that.
That's right. So we had, the bill is $21,236 and change. What number do you want to make the bill?
I want to make the bill $12,031.28.
Okay,
So that, what that does is that takes
That-
the 9 and then adds in about 3,000 or so from the 12. That's what that does.
Which is greater than a 50% utilization of the $12,000 that was in question.
so the residents are going to pay, right, 12,000 are going to eat 12,000. 30.
Not,
No.
no, that's not what Tom said. That's not what Eric said.
Okay, so let me,
So the residents are gonna eat 9.
I said we vote before Dave tries to figure it out.
well, no, I'm just trying to understand. It must be the airline business. Let's see. Okay, so 9,000, so that means if we forgive, I used to forgive, but if we say the bill
We're
is,
going to credit them.
we're going to credit them $12,000. So that means of the $21,000, they're going to pay 9,000.
Okay, let's vote on that. I disagree.
Okay, tell me, explain, I'm lost then. Tell me why, I don't know why this is so complicated.
It's not complicated.
It's not.
No, it's pretty simple. The owner of the property has a responsibility to sign up for whatever benefits they have and takes full responsibility for managing their property.
And what is the full responsibility number is? What's that number?
Full responsibility of every aspect of the property they own,
That's right.
from taxes to maintenance to whatever the case is. They didn't sign up for Water Smart, they're liable. Okay?
Right.
That's where I'm coming out.
That's right.
I was proposing a 50% decrease to start the conversation going,
Okay.
making it 6,000. You had the 6,000 to the 9,000, that's 15 grand. He's saying 12. I'm saying I'm not going to go for a discount that great. Okay? That's where I'm coming from.
His is less than yours though.
I know it's less than, I want to have a greater payment by the owners of the property. If they pay, if he says 12,000 and change,
I got you.
it's the 9,000 plus 3. I'm saying 9,000 plus 6. That's where I came out with my recommendation.
Where'd you get this?
So you would go 15?
And change, worked out it's a couple $100 either way, something like that.
So 9,006 is 15, let's keep it easy, $15,000 would be the amount they would pay. And the difference between 15,
And they have absolutely used up any type of, what do you call it? The policy to,
yeah, but they have.
One time for.
okay, it's a one time, yeah, they can't go back for any other reason.
Okay, well, we know that, right?
Okay, good.
Okay, so what that means is that, just to keep numbers, 12 plus 6 is, I mean, not 12, what were your two numbers were? Say that again?
The 9,000 and
Nine-
change, which is the
9,000.
base,
Plus
Okay.
6 is,
and you take the 12,000 and change and divide it directly in half. That was my throw out to start a conversation going, of which half would be absorbed by the owners of the property, bringing the total up 9 plus 6,
is 15,
15.
and that'd be the amount,
That's the amount that they would be paying.
that's the
clear
amount they
that
would be
bill.
paying.
They would be paying,
They would be paying, okay?
correct?
Okay, so so basically, we go back to, that's 15. And we take, 21 off that. So they're getting a $6,000 discount roughly,
Bottom line,
bottom line, $6,000 discount.
All of that math, the way that Fred just described it, the bill would be 15,221.31.
like I said, a couple $100 either way. I don't know.
Well, yeah, that's the interchange.
That's the bill, okay?
If you,
I understand that math now. I'm good at the math. Okay, so,
So I'll propose that we charge the owner of the property for this particular bill to be paid in one amount, one single payment amount, $15,221.31.
Okay.
Which covers all of our out-of-pocket expenses, so our residents don't get penalized. We don't cover the overhead, that is absorbed.
You're married to the one-time payment?
It's a one-time payment. Because I think we've dealt with, they have not paid the bill yet, so we're talking about 5-6 months already that they've not paid any,
Haven't
any,
paid any-
haven't paid any part of it. It's from cash flow perspective.
Yes.
The other monthly bills, this one bill has not been paid. So therefore, they haven't suffered from a cash flow perspective.
Well, they've been waiting for our resolution, so it's not their fault, it's our
No,
fault.
well, okay, okay, so that's Fred's motion. Is there a second?
He's being more generous than me because he's nice.
I think it's too much.
What's too much? We're making him pay too much?
I don't think we're in the business of being punitive to the degree where it hurts anybody, the residents or a business. I don't think that's our job.
But this is one account out of how many accounts in our MUD, Eric?
8,000.
It's not being punitive. The bill was 21,000 and change. Yeah, so there's no punitive action being done. They're actually getting a benefit of 6,000.
I understand what you're saying. I
Yep.
appreciate it.
Let's do this.
Residents
Let's-
should be hit with
Let's,
the charge.
I'll second the motion with Fred that's proposed, and we'll take a vote. And we either accept his motion or we propose another one. Is that okay? So all those in favor of Fred's motion, and repeat that number that they would have to pay?
15, 221.31.
That's it. Okay, all those in favor of that amount, please say aye. 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 You have
Aye.
3 ayes. Noes? Noes. Okay, it passes. Okay, sir, you got a discount. Thank you. for
Wow.
coming. Thank you for the
We're all
patience.
sweating over here.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
I know you are too.
Can I make a petition of defer it at least for 6 months? Sorry, I didn't get your name.
Right?
Yeah,
Right.
Wayne, sorry. We're not prepared to pay that amount. So if we can have some sort of deferment of the payment, because that would be very helpful for us and for our tenants that they're particularly the ones that are gonna pay for it.
I'd like to make a recommendation that we let that decision fall on Eric's shoulder because he manages WWA. We don't.
All those in favor?
Businesses run tight and theirs is a small business.
I hear you.
don't want to Penalize them for, again, I have a very strong feeling about it. That's not our duty, our responsibility, or our job that's not who we are. So the same thing with the lady with the trees and the pool, the whole thing. I don't think that's our
But
job.
like, that is a
Oh,
widow.
well, why don't we do this?
And
I
this
like
is
Fred's
but
chop.
it's
Why don't
still-
we let Eric make the decision? Have a motion. Fred, you got a motion? Let Eric make the decision?
For the 15,221.36, Eric will make the decision of
Payment
how
plan.
the owners pay that particular bill over what period of time. That's my proposal.
Okay, I'll second it. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, there we go.
Appreciate it. Thank you all.
Reasonable. Reasonable.
Okay,
Moving along.
moving along. Consider an act on encroachment of the sanitary storm sewer easement. And I guess we have a bunch of visitors to talk about this. So Alan, you want to go? We know Alan from, because he's been here, but,
We know.
okay, please.
We were made aware of a fence that was constructed across the back of a emergency overflow swale, what they're called. Typically, they're kind of between houses, and usually it's a swale that is intended on the emergency event, storm event, to bring water out to the eventual place it goes, whether it's a pond or an outfall. In this case, if you look at there's a lot of pictures on this in your packet. You'll see kind of a swale going down. You'll see a little concrete structure there right in front of the fence. That's called an inlet. Water drops into that, into a pipe, and then goes up and under. If it's so much water, which probably not, but if it's so much water that can't handle it, or that's backed up, it can also continue through and under the fence and then out to the swale that's running parallel with the back of the fences. So that's what this area is. It was brought to our attention, there was a fence built. So we did go out and see the fence. I will tell you that years ago, the MUDs typically did allow an encroachment style agreement to address these. If they agreed, there was a detail that WWA used. Again, I wasn't here at this point, but a detail that shows what, if you were going to build a fence, this is what it needs to look like. That was in play. My understanding is after Harvey and after Tax and Memorial, basically after all that 15, 16, 17 events, the MUDs collectively made a decision to go away from agreeing to these encroachment agreements. So there hasn't been one necessarily in a while on fences. We did go out and look at it. It does, and there's multiple sets of pictures. Some earlier pictures had some landscaping in front of the fence. I think even the fence maybe even was, more into the swale down on the bottom side. That's been corrected. So the shrubbery was taken away. And the fence meets the detail, except that there is a gate that was built into the fence as well. So
I don't see the gate.
Yeah, you
so
do.
that's not the picture you should be looking at.
Eric, can you show her the picture?
Sure. If look in your packet,
Yeah.
there's a bunch of
This
pictures.
one right here.
Yeah, and starting on page 3. Page 3, and then page 4. And then it keeps going, page 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You kind of get a bunch of pictures of the area. Page 11 is a good picture maybe to focus on, just because it's cleaner. So what I just described to you is really what you're seeing there. You can see on the left side, there's a gate there on the left. You can see there's some daylight, I'll call it, under the fence. That's where I would want the water to be able to go in emergency. So that exists. The shrubs that were there have been removed, so there's no blockage from my vantage point from a drainage perspective. So that in general would meet the detail, except for the gate. The gate would not meet the detail that we have if we were to approve it. So the residents had asked for us to bring it before the board, and that's what we're doing.
So
I think several people are here.
Each side.
They were involved with
Yeah.
the gate as it stands to.
Yeah. Just to clarify, I used to live in that neighborhood. I lived in French Oaks. And so I was, when I was told about this, I went and looked, and there's actually 2 courts. The way French Oaks is, it's a circle with one street like this. And I used to live on that street, Majelica, and there were two cul-de-sacs out this way, like years. And so, the other cul-de-sac, which is Cordella, they have also put a fence up and put a gate in. So we have 2 neighborhoods that have done this in that French Oaks area. And I expect is that we've known Alan from the tree planting, his tree planting effort, but that used to be a forest back there, and now it's a development, not a huge corporation development. And so they basically went in, they cut all the trees down, and what's going to be created here is a canyon of stockade fencing. And then you have to go, if you go through that fence, you go off to the right, and you kind of go down a little bit of hill, and you get to the holding pond.
You can see where he's speaking of. That's what you see if you are looking. That's right behind the fence is what you see. So those new homes are being built there. And then the other picture at the bottom is looking up and down that drainage that area.
So that's what began, Alan's effort to put trees in and all that. But basically, it's been clear cut, and you have the other development behind that area. So I'll just reserve my additional comments for later. So we actually have a second cul-de-sac doing a different structure. They used wire and steel and a wire gate, but they both have padlocks on them. And so that's the two two events. I think we should deal with both of them at the same time. And I'll make more comments after we hear the residents talk. So I don't know who wants to go first. Alan, do you want to begin, or do you want to go second?
What's the order? of the paper people that signed in,
What's that?
the order of the sign-in sheet.
Oh,
what
well,
we go by.
Where's the paper at? There we go. Alan?
Thank you. I do have a written statement. I'd like to read that. I'm happy to take any questions as well. Dear Mud 46 Board, I'm a resident of the Woodlands and I'm requesting that you remove a fence recently built by my neighbors on Howard Hughes property and an area maintained by Mud 46. The pictures below show the newly installed gate and my home is on the left when facing the gate. This fence impedes water runoff in heavy rains, which creates a dam and which could flood my home. If the drainage pipe were to become backed up, the water could not freely flow over the top of the drain cover. The lock gate also limits utility workers, law enforcement, and emergency medical services, which may need unimpeded and quick access to the area. My home is located at 2 Purott Place, and which is at the end of a cul-de-sac bordering a drainage easement. Some of my neighbors installed a gate with a lock and will not give me or other French Oaks residents the code to pass through the gate. Also like to note that I did help fund the gate with the stipulation that children and residents could pass freely through the gate. I have spoken with and texted a neighbor to obtain access, but as you can see from the text messages exchanged below, he refused to give me a key to the lock. The text message conversation is with Joe Castellano at 10 Purott Place. The gate has a handle on the side facing French Oaks, while it does not have a handle or any way to unlock or pull open the gate from the other side. This neighbor subsequently installed a combination lock on the gate. I asked for the combination and he again refused. Subsequent to this, I did install a gate on my backyard, so I do have access. But one of the reasons I'm here today is to represent the other residents who, as well as myself, who would like access, free access through that easement. Mr. Castellano told me that he does not want foot traffic from anyone outside of Purott Place, which is 8 homes, and he has refused to provide the code to me or others while I've asked. Other neighbors in French Oaks have complained to me about the restricted access. Mr. Castellano is willing to unlock the gate for me when I ask, but I don't feel that I or anyone else should have to ask permission from a resident to access property owned by the Woodlands Development Company, where the development company permits unrestricted public access. I also want a safe neighborhood as my neighbors desire. However, I don't think that the Woodlands residents, Black Oak residents, or the construction workers who work in the Black Oak homes are any higher risk than anyone else who lives in Purott Place. I communicate frequently with French Oaks residents, the Black Oak construction workers, and over 20 homeowners in Black Oaks, and have seen no safety risk from them. The gate blocks access to the popular Spindle Tree Loop and the other trails directly behind my home. I've worked with the Woodlands Development Company and attended Mud 46 meetings over the past 3 years to receive authorization to beautify and replant trees and bushes, which the Black Oak developer destroyed on Howard Hughes' property. Mr. Colkhurst, Mr. Jordan, and Mrs. Crow with Howard Hughes all assisted me with obtaining funding for Howard Hughes to plant hundreds of bushes and trees along the 1,500-foot stretch of property immediately behind my home. Restoring unimpeded access through the gate will allow residents to enjoy the trails with the newly planted trees as well as a Spindle Tree Loop. Before the fence was installed, my family of 8 and other French Oaks residents would access trails through the easement on a daily basis. My children used to run and bike freely with their neighborhood friends through this open space. In addition to children, elderly residents used to also access the trails through this easement. It is not always feasible or safe for elderly or children to access the Spindle Tree Loop from Branch Crossing. The fence has stopped all access to all but the few select residents who have been granted access. I'm asking for your consideration to remove the gate to restore a path for water runoff and to allow access to the community. And last, I'd like to also note that there are many cul-de-sacs and other neighborhoods in the Woodlands that have trails running through the easements like this as well. So this is not uncommon. So I appreciate your consideration.
Alan, did you say that some residents have access and others don't, and that's just an arbitrary decision of the person who installed the gate?
Yeah, I'm not sure, but yes, that's correct.
Thank you, Alan. Joe, you seem to be the leader of that next group, so why don't you begin?
I was graciously asked by the homeowners of the cul-de-sac to represent them. Thank you for the opportunity to address this board. I've been following you on YouTube, and I have to commend you for your work, caring for the residents, their well-being, okay, their financial aspect. Thank you, that's important, okay? I'm gonna build a picture to you, okay? There's a number of inconsistencies in what you just heard, okay? So when you listen and when you make a decision, I'll ask you one major favor. Consider it with your heart, your head, and consider it with your heart. Why? Anybody here gonna say that children are not super precious? And sometimes, well, grandchildren, the most important thing in our life, we live for them. So let's take the children and put them up here on the board. Keep that in mind, okay? So what happens is, Alan has not gone to the cul-de-sacs to the right of us and to the left of us and asked them to take their fences down or to allow access. Why? Just this. How did this fence come about? Okay, I'm originally from New York. I come with knowledge that I feel is, you can't buy it. In my practice for years, I provided care for police officers, detectives, New York City inspectors, captains, judges, and FBI. They have provided me with inside information that's invaluable. And what they said was, never become complacent where you are, ever. You think everything is fine? It may be, just thank God for that, but always assume what could be. Always see a picture of what could change. Things never stay the same. Unfortunately, the Woodlands is changing, all right? So it's a very precious place. Keeping that in mind, all right? I've been personally a victim of robbery in my office, everything was taken, a number of things.
The robbery happened here in Texas?
No, in New York.
Okay.
Why do you think I'm here in Texas now? In all honesty, okay? I've been shot at 3 times, thank God, nothing. Being in the wrong place, like, God, what did I do? All right? I am a very thankful individual. So what happens is, one day, Courtney Williams calls me and says, can you come outside? A strange individual had parked his truck, went behind the house and is looking at the houses. So I said, okay, let's just be cool. Let's see what he does. He left. We notified the other homeowners on the block, okay, in the cul-de-sac. Told them what was happening. My memory kicked in from my New York experience, and I said to them, I'm going to share with you experiences that I went through. I'm grateful how they turned out. And personally, we should put a fence there. Because we investigated all the other cul-de-sacs that have the fences, all right? We were not the first one to do this, the first kid on the block. We're probably the last ones to do it, all right? So I shared this information in detail. We had a couple of meetings. They agreed unanimously, immediately, a fence has to go up. They didn't blink an eye, okay? No one has access? Not true. I offered everyone the combination. Nobody wanted the combination because nobody wanted to access that passageway. One family did. I gave it to them. Why did I not relinquish it to Alan? Because he's worried about the people. We're here in French Oaks. The people who live in Scribewood across Branch Crossing, quarter of a mile away, he's worried that they have to come and use the passage. Like, give me a break. They're in Scribewood. Why don't they just go down the passage along Branch Crossing? Why must they come through here? Are they going through the cul-de-sacs to the right of us? Are they going to the left of us? Why here? So explain that to the other homeowners. They got it like that, okay? So this was something that was well thought out, agreed upon. They paid their fair. Well, we got a figure for the cost of the fence. Oh, the fence was specifically designed. A survey was taken of fences in the area. And I don't see the picture, but I've provided a picture to Shelley yesterday of a fence put up by the Woodlands community, okay, on Branch Crossing. It turned out to be the exact design of this. In fact, our opening on the bottom to allow water to pass through is so much larger than what they designed. I had never seen that fence, and yet it came out like this. You mentioned the gate, and I said on the site visit, that could be closed immediately. Contractor will be there within 2 hours, he'll close it. The contractor, okay, when I spoke to him, I said, it's got to be specifically, he says, I've built many fences like this. He says, don't worry, it will come out perfectly. We made an error of trying to put some hedges there. So we took them away right away. We did not want to impede upon the environment in any way, shape, or form. We were not looking to cause any problems. And when Black Oak was developed, all right, Black Oak is another jurisdiction from the woodland. God forbid of an incident, there's an issue. 2 years ago, okay, now I'm new here. 2 years ago, my hammer goes off. There's an individual in the corner of my home on the right side relieving himself on the fence and the wall. Not knowing what he's doing, I'm thinking he's taking the board off to go in the window right there. Call the sheriff. He come running down, checked it out, nothing was touched. He says, call me if you see anything else happen. Like, give me a break. So all these things are in my mind. I know what to look for, okay? We were warned, my wife and I, be careful when you go to, if I can say Walmart, all right? We go in there one morning, we're shopping, and I'm standing behind her, looking at an end display. 2 guys come walking by, and they're looking at her bag, which was an attractive bag. I look up and I see this individual. So I come around and I stand in front of, between her and these 2 individuals. And we turned and went down the aisle. I said, let's get out of here. I said, from now on, we go out, I want you to carry a bag this size and have it under your arm. Now, Penny, we're not living in yesterday. Never forget that. What we have here compared to what I've seen is precious. The thing I want to do most is preserve it. So my question is, how come Allen does not have the cul-de-sacs to the right and the cul-de-sacs to the left? Okay, so now yesterday, all right, on Monday, day off, I don't want to hold you up. School was out and there was the neighbor, okay, his girls were outside, they had a play date with their girlfriends, where right down in here, they were doing calisthenics, okay, and what does Daniela do? Gymnastics?
Yeah.
Cheer. They were practicing that. They must be on a team. Parents don't have to worry. That opening is not there. Who knows what could possibly happen? These kids had a ball. I said, Di, look at this. Look at these kids. That's the way it's meant to be. All right. So taking the children and keeping them in mind, because you never know what's going to happen. You say, oh, well, yeah, everything's good. God forbid. This is how my mind works. I've developed a police mentality for the well-being, very protective of where I live and my family. So that's how this came about. And like I say, none of the homeowners wanted access. Thank you, but no thank you. Okay? All right? And I specifically didn't give it to Al because he wants to go give it out to the neighborhood. Alan has a habit of getting in the middle of things. 2 years ago, okay, just to be all fair, a neighbor of mine, all right, was going to give swimming lessons in her backyard. Infants screaming at the top of their lungs. I thought they were getting killed, plus cars blocking the cul-de-sac. Someone put a complaint in, not me. I didn't even know this was taking place. So she had to go down on her license. I went down to the meeting. I got up and I just shared, kind of think about what's going on. The board unanimously, wham, right around the circle, denied her permit. I didn't go there to cause trouble for her. I only stated what I saw. So keep in mind one thing. Out of 14 homeowners, Alan is the only one opposing this. There's 8 homes, okay? The other 7 times 2, husband and wife, 7 times 2 is 14, totally in favor. He's the only one opposing it. He's worried about Scribewood and Black Oaks and all these places.
How many people have the combination?
Just one. No one else wanted it. Am I
So
correct?
you're the only one that has the combination?
And another homeowner. Another homeowner asked me for it. I gave it to him. Didn't believe, I said, sure, here it is. I said, just, be diligent and take care. And the individual does. Am I correct, Courtney?
That is correct, but also, I mean, gate aside, what Eric described is if it's approved, the gate's gotta go anyway, so there would be no access. For it to be in code, the gate would have to go away. So access then would become a non-issue.
Yeah, so the contract, I'll call, he'll be there within hours to close off that gate immediately. We're not looking to infringe upon anything. We just want protection. So like I say, when we make your decision, please consider it with your mind and consider it with your heart and think of the children.
So just to reiterate, you said there are 14 individuals, 7 couples, you're saying, basically?
Yes,
That don't have a complaint regarding this.
correct,
Alan seems to be the one that has the complaint.
correct.
Okay.
Do either of you have a list of people that support you, Alan? Do you have a list of the signatures of people you're speaking on behalf of?
Myself?
Just you?
You
said you have other people supporting you.
That, but there have been people that have asked. me.
There's
Okay.
about 50 houses in French Oaks,
It's
which
very easy. It's
Well,
either
On our French Oaks cul-de-sac is what I'm constantly referring to, that immediate area. We were seeing individuals who we never saw before, sitting on the benches that were put there by us, okay, not me, it was before my time, to enjoy the outdoors. Individuals who all of a sudden we never saw before, sitting there on their phones. Who are these people?
Did you ask them who they were? Did you
No.
introduce yourself?
No, I didn't want to go over to them. I don't know who they are. Today you got to watch out what you do. You go over to somebody and it could be deadly. I don't know who they are, what's on their mind, what they're doing.
My parents grew up
So-
in New York City during Son of Sam, and down south, if you don't know somebody, you
Then-
ask them who they are unless you're worried.
Let me ask, I'm sorry, did you finish your
No,
point?
I'm trying to figure out. I'm having a hard time because there was a gate, a fence put up without a permit. There was a fence put up, did a PE sign off on it? Because there are residents that have moved to the Woodlands that lived downtown, down in Houston during Hurricane Harvey, and they had to kick out the fence during Hurricane Harvey because their homes were gonna flood if they didn't. And I'm just trying to understand, if you, I am all about safety. My house backs up to 2978 and there are gaps, and I worry about people coming in, by all my children. But if I worry about that all day, I'm not gonna get anything done. I'm gonna be paralyzed with anxiety and not be able to go out and live my life. Now, Courtney, did you call the sheriffs when those men were sneaking around back in?
Well, let's do this. Are you finished?
Just
You have
about.
more questions before we go to someone else?
Statement you made, okay? Courtney made call after call to the Woodlands Township, everything, to get a permit, to get authorization to put that up. They said, just put it up. You do not need anything. We went to Howard Hughes, right? We spent how much time searching Howard Hughes? Put it up. Don't worry about it. Is the answers we had gotten. Who else was there to go to get authorization? Over in DeGoss Park, a fence just fell down. The individuals called, oh, just put it up, replace it. That's why it went in that manner. Do you think if we knew we had to get a permit, we would have not done that after all we went through? We would have definitely done that because we would not have taken that chance. Yes,
You said one other resident has the combination of that lock.
yes,
Okay, did Mr. Hedegren ask for a combination of the lock?
yes,
Did you give it to him?
no.
Why not?
Because he is worried about the people over in Scribewood that they gotta come over and go through the fence.
Did he contribute to the construction of the fence?
Yes,
Why did you
So
put,
therefore, I'm a former New Yorker as well,
mhm,
okay? Most co-ops in Manhattan, I assume you lived in Manhattan?
no,
Where about? Where?
Brooklyn,
Brooklyn. I had to go to live there one time, so I know the area well. It's an emotional issue, that's obvious. But you having control and retaining, sharing that information with not only your neighbors, but also people who contributed to the construction of the fence, that really casts a little bit of a shadow on your statement. So let me ask two other questions that are fact-based.
Stop it
And
there one
that'll
second.
help.
No,
It'll
you
help.
interrupted. You have to wait.
Okay,
Okay. Are the other cul-de-sacs that you referred to, do they have water easements where they put those fences and gates up that are locked?
I believe they do. I mean, I didn't go all the way back up to them because I looked to see as best as I could without going on the private property.
Okay, last question,
Some of them do, yes.
and then I have an observation. You said that the code has been offered to all residents, but has been not shared with Alan and his family. That's correct?
Right.
And you think that's correct?
Only to the extent that he went and put his own fence in his own backyard, so he didn't need access through that any longer.
Okay.
He solved his own problem. Had he
You've
not
come
done
up with a
that,
solution, haven't you? But forget that for a second. Michael Mooney, who is was the deputy general manager for Woodlands Water Agency, sent a note to all of the residents on Pirouette Place. And the phrase that caught me was that these obstructions are illegally placed in an easement. That is a fact of law. And since in your phone calls to the township, to Howard Hughes Corporation, you've not documented names or dates or times that you've made these calls. I have to ask the question, maybe only to get together for a wine party or something, because there's no reason to be this emotional over it. If it's illegal, that basically is something that's a fact of law. It's something that we have to support. Is as emotionally charged this instance is, and that you've got your points, and I certainly understand them and agree with them. So does Alan. And I understand where he's coming from. He wants to be fair. He wants to be giving outreach to other neighborhoods in a neighborly fashion. And I'm not taking any sides or any positions. I just think that the first issue has to be decided. Are these, as Michael Looney said, obstructions illegal? And if they are, I think that really directs us as a board on how we should act. And I look to the other board members because I don't want to get involved in disputes that are emotional between neighbors. They need to solve their own problems. They're all adults. But if it's in a question of legality, to me, that is the overriding decision, and our attorney here can address that.
So let's do this. We normally limit to 3 minutes, so we've way past that. And would your wife like to speak? No? Courtney, would you like to speak?
I'm just stating a fact. Alan would have gotten the code right away if he didn't say he was going to give it to Scribewood. Like, why did we go and do what we did? We just went through all of this, spent all this money, and you're going to defeat the purpose. I don't understand that. If he would have said, oh yeah, can I have the code, okay, and would have kept it for his family, all well and good. He would have got it in a heartbeat.
So let's Courtney speak. And
I would just like to say, after listening to all of this, the issue that was brought up was the water flow. And as Eric addressed, there's no water flow issues. And his recommendation, if this were to get approved, would be to close off the gate. So the access issue goes away, the arguing, the bickering and all of that over that, it goes away. There's no access code, there's no gate code, there's no lock, because to be compliant, the gate would have to go away.
That's why I asked the question about the other cul-de-sacs. Are they in a water easement area as well? I don't think I saw that.
Yes.
well, this is Fred, this is a picture of the one next to them.
Okay.
And it's blocked off also with the gate, with
We built
the
the house
combination
for
lock.
20 years. We've never had rising water. We're 176 feet above sea level for the little steel out in front of the mailbox. We've never had, in all the floods, not even any rising water in our street. That said, just like Eric said, the gate, the fence as it is right now, it does not impede water flow. The access issue, the arguing, the emotional piece of this goes away, because if we were to be compliant, the gate would have to be gone. So peel back all of those arguments and emotional pieces. Now it's just, does it impede the water flow? That to me seems like it's what needs to be
And
considered.
we thought by putting in the gate, we were being compliant with all the other cul-de-sacs, so we were copying them. That's how that got there. If Alan was to say, listen, you give me the code, I'm not gonna go give it out. I wanna share it for my family and our immediate friend. You'd get it in a heartbeat, but don't undermine everything we just did.
Right, but that goes
Yeah.
away. It's a non-issue.
Right.
Because if it's approved, the gate's gotta go away.
Yeah.
The gate's gotta go away.
So my question, Fred, to you is that if they went to the township to get a permit, wouldn't the township have said to them, it's not legal, there's no permit because it's not.
I don't know who they talk to. They might have talked to the receptionist. How would I know? I mean,
No,
the question is it legal or is it not? And there's our attorney.
Then we would have to address every other cul-de-sac that's done the same thing.
bingo.
Well,
You're gonna open a can of worms. It's gonna be.
first of all, let's add, the lady had a good point. Does this fence represent any problem to you from a water flow perspective or anything that would affect your responsibility?
No.
Okay. Is it legal to place this obstruction where it is?
It's an encroachment. I
Yeah.
mean, if you don't own the property, if you put it there,
You've approached.
Right.
Okay, so that's a black and white issue. What's been done in the past by the seat of their pants or by just happenstance, I don't know the answer to that. But I'd like to move this along if possible. since we are-
I'll say this, I used to live in the neighborhood, and to be honest with you, I would run the spindle tree and I would go through that portal to get there, so you know.
And everyone else has closed their street.
Well, I guess I'm just looking at French Oaks, you're right, the other cul-de-sac has closed theirs also. So, you know, we have a control issue if we make a decision to allow one, it needs to be uniform. And I only check French Oaks. I know we are.
Y'all probably want to maybe chew on this. I don't know.
Yeah, let's just.
It seems like it may be a little
Yes.
rushed to try to make a decision with you having other
I
options.
think we need to, we need to defer this.
Take it under advisement and then.
Yeah, I also think that, Eric, you need to do some research as to where there are other encroachments in this general area. They have pictures of others and see if it does in fact encroach to what Michael Mooney's letter indicated. Because I don't want to start making decisions here with this board that affect law in an improper manner. I don't think it's our job. So
Let's move on. Thank you very much. We're gonna table it.
We met face to face with the Woodlands, who do we meet with?
Hughes Corporate. What do we?
And Woodlands.
to go forward?
we'll hear this again next month. And who would be the person that would be responsible for assigning this a section in the agenda? Would that be you?
Mhm.
Did you do that? And let's try to enforce the time limits that we've
Yep,
always
yep,
had.
that's right.
Good, David?
Let's go on. Thank you very much.
Thank
We're
the
done.
board for listening, okay, for your time. It is greatly appreciated. Can't believe it. So thank you
And
so much.
on Colonel Jeff Cooper, he believed in the situation yellow, and that will address your concerns about how to take care of yourself.
Right, but the thing is, I.
Okay, let's table it.
Right.
You know, if we made a mistake, we should not ask questions.
Yeah.
That creates the problem is, you know, you have 3-minute comment without questions. And
Yeah.
we get off
Okay.
the track. So let's go on. Okay, so consent agenda. Anybody want to pull anything off the consent agenda?
I think we should go approve everything
Okay,
and move
have a
forward.
motion to approve the consent agenda?
Consent agenda.
Okay, great. Thank you.
No,
Take a vote. All in favor of approving consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Let's move on. Okay, consider the official ballot of the Montgomery County Central Appraisal Districts relative to the election of a board member for the adoption of resolution for casting for the ballot in connection of Hareworth. So what's going on here?
So y'all have the ballot on page 47, your packet that lists all the candidates. The district has 25 votes out of 1,080 total votes in the county for a special district position. So the board needs to allocate those 25 votes either all to one candidate or among multiple candidates. You had one candidate speak during your initial comments, which I know feels like it was a long time ago, but that was Charles Shirley. the candidate that was nominated by, well, we've already talked about that, 'cause we went through all this.
That went through,
We all
yeah.
made Nominations as well.
So I'll say, last time we had a meeting, I'll go fast, but I put these people on the ballot because we really were having a very difficult time understanding what was happening here. And, so really we put these people in the ballot. We were having a difficult time understanding how MCAT elections are run. Very difficult to get information from the MCAT board. And it just happened, I was downtown at a luncheon. I met the chief appraiser of Harris County, and he enlightened me. And what really was going on is the board forgot to run the election. And so you start looking at their minutes, right? Let me step back. Right before Thanksgiving, there's some of the people who were running were told in writing by the chief appraiser there'd be no election. And then right after Thanksgiving, all of a sudden there is an election. And what caused me concern is that they don't film their meetings. They're like the old WWA, no video. And if you look at the minutes, and there's a chief appraiser makes a report, mentions this, there's no vote by the board to authorize an election. There's no executive session to say they got an attorney's opinion that they can remain on the board even though their terms expired on 31 December. So we have a board sitting right now at MCAT that technically their 5 terms have expired, and that's bothersome. And then if you look in the last 3 years, we were on our 3rd chief appraiser, and they had apparently a serious implementation process, a new software system, and they lost confidence in the 2nd one, and now we have a new one that didn't run the election. And to be honest with you, what's changed all this is we have 25 votes, was really 5,000 votes up, and what's changed it is there's a new team, new board in charge of the Conroe ISD, and they have 28% of the votes. So the way this election works is we're going to cast votes, and whoever wins, we're a special district. We're special districts, and who's in special districts? MUDs, emergency utility districts, the hospital district, and the township of Woodlands. And so we cast a winner of that competition carries these votes to the next election, which is held the following month. And so the issue becomes is there's problems with MCAT. There's problems with the board. There's problems. They can't run an election. They have problems with the software system. And so we're looking for the candidates. And as I would recommend the board vote for Charles Shirley. And he's the treasurer of the Republican Party. He's been active in local arena for a long time. He's on the hospital district, and knowing him, I think he has the issues that need to be adjusted. And be honest with you, all that does is if he wins, he carries the votes forward to the next election. And the real issue will be the influence the new board at Conroe ISD has on that election process. And so we play a minor role, but I think the way we can have the most effective way is to get Charlie Shirley into the next step, and that's what I recommend the board does. You also know Bruce Reeser, but I think you would like to have him on the board too. He's a former township director. But the catch is we need to get move Shirley along, and that will enhance Bruce Reeser's ability to get on the board later. So any more comment? I probably talked too much. Anything else? Any comment?
So MUD 46 gets 25
25 votes, and I'd recommend we do all 25 to Charlie Shirley.
5 of us, we can spread it out amongst ourselves. In other words, if I wanted someone else, I could vote for 5 and he could vote for 5. And
Well, it's up to the motion. I mean,
It's up to the
but
motion.
a motion that would cast all 25 to one candidate. Well, I don't know if we do have a motion. We have discussion.
Discussion at this point.
But if we have a motion to cast all to one candidate, then that's the motion we consider. If we have a motion to allocate, then
I'll have to make a motion to cast all ballots for Charlie Shirley.
for who?
I mean, to Charles Shirley.
I know Arthur Bredoff.
So do I.
Yeah, Arthur's on the board now.
He's on the board now.
and he has every opportunity to perform on that board, and we have a mess. That's the problem. I know Arthur well.
The only other individual that anybody knows is Arthur. Obviously, David, you know Charles.
I know Charles.
Okay.
I actually know a lot of these people. Inman is the Republican Party senior representative to the Republican Party of Texas. Bruce used to be a former official here at on the board at Woodlands. Louis Patrice, he's a citizen. He's been active in Republican politics for a long time. He's running.
So make a proposal.
I would recommend we vote 25 votes for Charlie Shirley. I think I think that's the most.
So defer to David because I do not know these people and I had to defer to David's expertise in this matter because he's done the research, he knows these individuals. And if he's picking Charles, he's our president, I'm gonna go with that. So I will defer to David on this.
Do any of these candidates have appraisal backgrounds?
Yes, Arthur does.
Arthur's on the board now.
You saying he's been inept?
He was there when the quote unquote stuff happened. So I guess
Tainted by them.
tainted by his performance, positive and negative.
Yes. Well,
So I've made a motion for all 25 votes. Second, let's try to vote and see how that works out. All those in favor of Charlie Shirley, say aye. Aye. Okay, 2. So another motion. All those not in favor of Charlie Shirley, say aye.
does anybody else have a candidate they want to support and you want to split the votes?
I would prefer to split the votes.
I prefer to split the vote.
Okay,
Let's split the votes.
okay, all those in favor of splitting the votes?
How do you want to split them?
Well, each person gets 5. Is that what you want to do, Tom?
Yes.
All those in favor of splitting the votes, say aye. Yeah, 25.
5.
Let's split the vote. I'll second that motion.
Okay,
Well, we'll make that
Five.
determination. later.
individual makes the decision.
So we don't need a
No,
separate,
no, no.
we don't need a separate motion on that. We just need a motion on what the allocation.
Allocation
Everyone
are,
agrees that it's split, each director gets 5. I
okay.
think we just need,
So I'll say 5 for Charlie Shirley. Tom?
I'm gonna say 5 for Arthur.
Fred?
5 for Riser.
5 for Riser?
5 for Charles.
5 for Charles?
5 for riser.
5 for Riser. Okay, so I'll fill this out.
Good.
we need a motion on that,
Okay,
Okay.
there we go.
motion on that allocation.
Okay, I have a motion on allocation.
I second it.
Second. And who did you say?
Riser.
Right.
Riser, Shirley. Okay, I got it.
Passes.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
On item 13, which is the draft report, you've all seen it on a Google Drive except me. I couldn't get it to work, but I did get a hard copy of it and I spoke to John several times after our last meeting.
Get it?
And this
Early 10.
audit is
that right?
in pretty good shape and it will come up at our next workshop because it discusses the finances between the SVRA and the MUD 46. And there are issues that need to be discussed in detail and in private. So I would suggest that we I will make a proposal to accept the audit as completed by John and handed out in this meeting. And we'll review it again next week during our workshop meeting. Do I have a second?
I have a second.
Great.
Any discussion? All right.
Okay,
a vote.
all's in favor. What'd you say, Fred? I was busy filling the form out.
We accept the draft.
Accept the audit.
Okay, accept the audit. All those in favor? Aye. Okay. So what's next? What number are we on?
There's a
SDRA report.
Okay, yes, please.
All right, so it's that time of year for excess funds. The River Authority showed 5.1 million in worth of excess funds. We recommended refunding the entirety of MUDs. The trustees agreed and approved of that. So therefore, in April, you will be getting about 1.2 million back. That's all I have.
finally,
Yes.
because last year that's the amount that was due us as well. And
That's the issue with the trustees.
I understand it's an issue with the trustees and I blame our trustee for that.
That's all I have. Unless you have any questions on it.
Oh, well,
Thank you.
the trustees voted to return the money. That's
They did, but it is draft until the pro resolution has to be.
So we're getting back over $1 million.
I understand that. But last year it should have happened, because it defeats the entire purpose of having a budget for the SGRA if they can go around it by keeping their excess funds.
I agree.
Agree. Okay,
Moving along.
moving along. Let's see what the next item is.
Item 15.
15, receive an update status of Bear Branch and Panther Creek research forest drainage improvement projects. You want to
Yeah.
talk briefly about that?
Stakeholder meeting a couple weeks ago. We heard the latest additional scenarios, runs of the model from the engineers. The intention was to see if there was a better option than the originally proposed option. And it came back with less benefit than the original. So we've asked the stakeholders have asked the engineer to go back and really kind of formulate what the true benefit is related to the original option in terms of water surface elevation drop along research in the surrounding areas. So they'll be working on that.
To read the significance of what came back, there was a fifth option. And what that was is a review of the data from the sensor that is on 1488 and Bear Branch, and there's another one on Panther Creek and Bear Branch. And so those are the flood sensors that where we see if you have your app turned on, you'll get notification you have flooding along 1480 and Bear Branch. And based that sensor has been there since 2013. And what it shows is that there's really no increase in flooding coming, you know what I mean, to pass that sensor. So the area to the west of us is not creating additional water flow. I thought that was an interesting input that we may all be interested in more. Okay. Okay, review the district's current wastewater and current water capacity,
Yeah,
discuss.
that's what I have on that one. We had in our last meeting, which was an open meeting, two policy decisions that we had to make that we have to vote on in this meeting. The first one is to approve the SFDUE accounting of the sixth, or what they call final accounting, as the basis or the benchmark for us going forward on SFDUEs. We've all agreed to that. I'd like to propose that we now enact that the sixth and final accounting is in fact the benchmark for fiscal year 2025. All in favor? Or second, rather? All in favor?
Say that again?
We agreed that the sixth and final accounting for the SFDUEs for MUD 46 is to be accepted as the benchmark for all of our calculations in the SFDUE report.
For the developing analysis.
Well,
Yes.
for the developed and undeveloped, and also for our ownership, which will be an issue to
Yes.
discuss in private.
Yes.
And this was the topic that we discussed for about 90 minutes of the meeting.
Yeah.
And that was the conclusion we reached. And we were in agreement and we should vote on it.
Yes, so let's vote on it.
Okay, yeah, motion,
I made the motion.
second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye. Next item, charging developers for SFDUEs effective immediately, and this was a policy decision. It was agreed to bring it up at this meeting. I would like to propose that effective this date, that in the event any developers wish to use or hold SFDUEs, that we charge them for it and they pay for it in advance.
I second the
Second.
motion.
Second.
So that's a policy,
Yeah.
but not implemented until we have further discussion.
No,
You
to
haven't
be,
discussing that.
to be implemented now. The cost has not been discussed because that's going to be discussed next week at the closed session. And that's going to probably require yet another meeting because Ed and his team has not given me the information that I requested about a month or so ago to determine if in fact the finance costs were included in the charges for the SFDUE or I should say not or, and what basis of dollars that we have outstanding. And Maureen has all the numbers for that. It's in our report every month as to how much we've spent as a district. It also, I had it included in John Knox's report, so it's in your audit on page 29, that those items need to be discussed to determine which and what will be used in the determination of an SFDUE price. We have not determined the price yet. All we're determining now is, do we charge? The answer to that, I would like to say, is yes.
Okay, I want to say something. You go ahead, you're the lawyer, and then I'll speak.
So the only thing I'm parsing is that, my recollection was the policy decision was that, the board wanted to move forward with charging developers. And then we would discuss at a future workshop how that would be implemented, including the timing of the implementation. So I think that's the one thing.
I did
I'm
not-
parsing there.
I did not get that from my notes, but,
I got the other.
I'm sorry.
I don't recall there being a timing discussed in terms of when it would be.
Yeah, but I don't think we discussed that.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah, we didn't discuss timing at all. And that's why if they make a decision, if they want to have 150 SFDUEs, fine, no problem, write the check. But we can't tell them how much. So
Yeah.
until we have that number, and if at that point we have the number, then we say it's $7,000 or $12,000 per
We're
SFDUE.
just voting on the policy that we're going to do it.
so,
Correct.
so, but I'll be honest with you, I have a problem with this approach without having the number. And I think this is a much more complex.
Which comes first, the chicken or the egg?
Well, I think we need to sit in closed session and discuss
Agreed. So
this
therefore,
issue.
Let's have the vote and we will discuss your problem at the meeting. I don't disagree with what you're
I
saying.
mean,
If you have a problem with how we do the calculations, absolutely bring it on, because I have a problem with how it's done too. We're getting nothing for it now, but we're paying for it.
I'm just saying, your set of numbers have problems that you proposed. I've been through them.
Discussing the numbers. We're just discussing the ability to discuss the numbers.
We don't have to have all of our ducks in a row to make a policy decision. It's okay to have a half-baked idea.
See, I think.
Can I quote you?
Can I quote you on that? That was.
That was great. We want to use that.
Feel free to. It's
I'm
going.
concerned, Fred, that by the time we get this
I gotta
done,
write that down.
we will have a very difficult time arriving at a number that we can back up.
Actually, we'll be able to back it up very easily, because half the numbers have already been established.
No, well, Fred, I'll be honest with you, we're gonna run out of time, but you have in there that you want the developers to refund the money they got from putting the retail system in.
We are not talking about that in an open session.
I understand that, but I'm saying this is a picture. This is a picture. And I think you have to build the picture correctly before you vote on this stuff. And I mean,
I'll bring.
theoretically.
I'll bring the frame, you bring the canvas,
Well,
and
I
next week we'll
understand.
figure it out.
Okay,
But in the meantime, the proposal is,
I don't see act and review here.
I believe that in the meeting, we talked about three things. One, to approve the SFDUE accounting, second, charge and develop, and third, to discuss the pricing of the SFDUEs in the executive session. Those are the things we agreed upon from the meeting. Okay? We didn't talk about,
I think
A
what
number.
we agreed to is discuss all these things in the executive session.
I disagree with that.
Distinctly, we had to set policy before we even.
Correct.
The
And we're only talking policy now. We're not talking the specifics.
Brian, in the name of time, can we table this because
Yes.
we're running close to time
We
in
can-
our next workshop?
We can put it, we'll have this item with action, and if we need to take additional action as a result of the
Well,
discussion.
since we've also tabled the conversation about to fence or not to fence, I'd like this one being brought to the front of the regular session as opposed to after.
But Fred,
We'll cover it in the workshop.
we're trying the workshop and we come out of the workshop and we have motions that we will then vote on based on the
Well, we
workshop.
had, we agreed to have a motion to charge the developers, okay?
You can do that in the workshop.
Workshop.
Okay.
You don't have to have that in the next
Fine.
meeting.
I'm not happy, but we're going forward.
I'm sorry, Brian.
Okay, so we're gonna,
It's fine.
so I don't know if we need to table anything since there's nothing on the agenda. Okay, let's move on. Attorney's report,
I'll defer, legislative
Okay.
session's ongoing. I did-
order establishing meeting places.
Yeah, so 18, we are adding the community center across the street as well as the township as additional meeting places so that we can have these all mud meetings to discuss River Authority and Woodlands future projects and to be able to have discussion if necessary.
Does this have any, was this put in here, as a precursor to the possibility of selling this property back to, okay, fine.
This is just a place to have
We
meeting.
don't have a.
This is all about space.
This is
Okay.
for the all mud meeting,
I
right?
agree with that. Fine, let's go move forward. I agree with that. I just saw that and I couldn't get on Google Drive to see it, so
Yeah. No, this.
you've answered my question.
By law, we have to get this approved so that we can meet some.
Fine, let's go do it.
All right.
Okay.
Need a motion to approve the order and authorize, the law requires us to publish notice once we.
I'll second.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
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 19 is what I refer to as the TikTok resolution. There's an executive summary in the packet. I visited with Eric. He said there's no issues with implementation. We need to
Right.
consider a motion to approve that.
I'll make the motion.
Got a second? All those in favor say aye. Aye. General manager report.
Real quick, I'll go fast. The GRP meeting, which would have been my first, was canceled in January because of the freeze. I did have an orientation with SJA. I did go over that, had a meeting with Brad Howe and Kim. We went over the orientation package as well as talked about goals and whatnot. And we'll continue to do that. I'll give further updates at the trustee meeting, and then those will be in your trustee packet for your board meetings going forward. So you'll get updates every month on that. And then we did have our second community work group meeting a couple weeks ago. We talked about the differentiation of assets, of whose responsibility is what in terms of SJA at the moment, and then talked about different funding mechanism on how things are funded, whether it's maintenance or capital, et cetera. So we went over those with the CWP as well. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Ed.
Trustee report. I don't have anything.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna email out a draft of the annual update, so we want to get this out with this cycle of billing. So I'm gonna email this to you. If I can get your comments back by Friday, I'll
On this
incorporate
sheet
those,
or on this sheet?
the annual update.
Okay, so this one is,
That's just our,
okay,
that's the report.
fine, thanks.
So please watch for that and return any comments you have by Friday.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so closed session? None, thank God. Reconvene in open session. Okay, we know what we're gonna put in. We have a second workshop coming up.
Yes, I have an agenda I'm gonna be sending to,
Next Wednesday.
yes, it's next Wednesday at 9:30 to 11:30, and I'll be there an hour early for change. And I apologize again for that.
An hour early, a day late though, right?
Always a day late.
I think it's 27 degrees outside.
Okay,
Okay.
so I adjourn the meeting. A motion to adjourn, excuse me.
Motion to adjourn.
Hey, I do have
You
a
say
question.
currently it is?
Yeah.
Already?
Yeah, so tonight, let's plan it.
Okay, motion to adjourn. I guess